We have an election coming up.
Really?
And,
I'm still looking at my hair.
Yes, and among the threats from the left side of the aisle is we're going to get rid of that Electoral College. Even though they're the people that try to shove equity down your throat,
Right.
and the Electoral College is the greatest example of equity that exists in the country. I guess they missed that irony.
Right.
But here's a fellow who I think deserves a reading of his email. His name is Fred. Well, his name is Fred Brick from Coos Bay in, what is that, Oregon? He's a professor. Joe, I have really enjoyed the recent conversation you have been having regarding the Electoral College. One thing I might add is something most Americans do not know about. How each state's Electoral College votes are allocated after voting is finished. Each state's number of votes is determined by the number of representatives and senators they send to Washington, D.C. Minnesota, for example, has 10 Electoral College votes. Why? Because we have 8 Congress members and 2 senators that each state has. All right. How the electors are allocated after voting is completed goes down to one of 2 paths. The states were originally given the power to decide how this would work. 48 states use a winner-take-all system. 2 states, Maine and Nebraska, do it proportionately. Let me illustrate this through 2 hypothetical examples.
Okay.
Scenario 1, winner-takes-all system. That's Minnesota and 47 other states.
Okay.
Winner takes all. Just for the sake of argument, let's assume that 2,000,001 people voted in Minnesota in the 2024 presidential election. Because this is Minnesota, let's assume Harris wins with 1,000,001 votes and Trump loses with 1,000,000 votes. Under the winner-takes-all system, Harris gets all 10 Electoral College votes, basically disenfranchising 1,000,000 people. Scenario 2, Nebraska, which has 5 Electoral College votes. Once again, just for sake of the argument, let's assume that 2,000,001 people vote in the presidential election in Nebraska. Because this is Nebraska, which is rural and conservative, let's assume Trump wins with 1,000,001 votes and Harris loses with 1,000,000 votes. Under the proportional system, Trump gets 3 Electoral College votes and Harris would get 2. Okay, it's a little more complicated than that, but I don't want to confuse the issue too much. Sounds a bit more democratic, doesn't it? As a conservative professor at a small community college in Oregon, I have had interesting conversations in my U.S. history and American government classes over the past 27 years regarding this subject. Once students understand how the system works, some still want to get rid of the Electoral College, while others agree with me that all of the states should do it proportionately. Why would any Republican waste their time and money campaigning in California, for example, with its winner-take-all system? If it were proportional, however, there would be an incentive to actually campaign there, because even though a few Electoral College votes from a state like California would help a Republican, or for that matter, a Democrat in a state like Texas or Florida, theoretically, all the candidate has to do is win the 12 states with the largest number of Electoral College votes to become president. You need 270, but the top 12 states get you to 281. Take my winner-takes-all scenario from above and play it out on those 12 states. With one candidate winning in each state by 1 vote, however implausible. Not only are all of those people in those states who voted for the losing candidate basically meaningless, so are all the other 38 states. I hope this leads you guys down other fruitful paths. Your show is the highlight of my day. Even my grandson likes it. I go all the way back to the 80s with you and Pat. He used to have a caller named Niski. Niski? Yeah,
Niski. He was in a wheelchair.
That's right.
Jumped into a pool.
And when he called you and Pat, I always asked him if his call was crucial, and he became Crucial Niski. Things we remember. Fred from Coos Bay, St. Thomas, class of 1986. So what Fred is doing is he's arguing, obviously, for the continuation of the Electoral College, but he would like it done proportionately. That's fine with me.
Okay.
But I'm an Electoral College fan. Greatest form of equity ever created.
Huh.
You all right there?
Yeah, the jury's still out here. My hair is still good, though.
I've got to get back to this fellow. He's
But wait a minute. What would change? You said proportionately. Don't go through the whole thing again. Just give me the cliff notes because I get it.
48 states are winner take all.
Yeah.
2 states, Nebraska, and what's the other one?
Was it Maine? No.
That's Nebraska and Maine. Nebraska and Maine are proportional, which means, and that's why I think he stopped writing and said, I don't want to make this too complicated. I don't know what the proportional formula would be.
That's what I guess my question was, but we don't know the answer to that.
But what happens if the 2,000,001? What happens if that guy moves away?
It's a legit question. I mean, then you're at a dead
I've
heat.
changed my mind, I don't know.
But in Minnesota, you're obligated to give all 10 Electoral College votes to the winner of the state. Right.
Unless that one guy moves away.
Right.
And right now, you'd be, as he points out, if 500 people vote for, if 501 people vote for Harris this presidential election, and 500 vote for Trump, Harris would get all the votes.
Correct.
And he's suggesting there is a proportional equation to bring this about, where the 500 people who voted for Trump would not necessarily see their efforts go to waste. There'd be a certain amount of Minnesota's 10 electoral votes that would go to Trump. Mm-hmm. But the secretaries of state funded by George Soros would soon figure out a way to screw that up.
Right. I did. Go ahead, Ken.
Who's on the Electoral College in Minnesota?
Great question. One of you boys can Google it. I don't know if they're appointed people or it would seem to me they're appointed people.
Why does somebody have to be on the Electoral College if it's just as simple as whoever they voted for gets the 10 votes? Whoever the state voted for gets, you know what I'm saying?
I do, and I don't have an answer for you. I suppose it's a way to honor citizens or something with this imaginary position that you are now casting your ballot on behalf of the great state of Minnesota, and you get 10 people. They get to wear a medal or something. I don't know. Funny hat.
Choosing each state's...
Go ahead, John.
Choosing